Welcome everyone to the Redemption School of Coaching and Transformation. I am Rivka Malka and you are awesome. This is going to be an amazing journey together. My prayer and my hope, and let's pray together, is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem, God, brings us all an experience of growth for ourselves and opens up our light so that we can help others in the most magnificent way possible. This is your intro video. In this video, we're going to talk about what it's going to be like to be in this school together. And we're also going to give you a framework of what the redemption journey is. So this is not your practical instructional. This is your introduction. Soak it in, take it in. I want you to know all of this. Number one, how our school works. Our school is based on the premise that we are all connected, that we all have a great light, that there's a mission that each and every one of us has, and that everything that happens to us is a healing opportunity. We're going to talk about that a little bit more coming up. But what that means for you in this school is that no matter what happens in your training, if you feel excited, if you feel irritated, if you feel disappointed, if you feel left out, if you feel anything that you feel is you're in a laboratory of healing, you're going to get to use whatever comes up within your training as part of your training. So I'll give you a little example. Let's say we're on a call together and a woman feels invisible. She feels like the teacher doesn't even notice that I'm here. She's only speaking to XYZ person, right? That could happen. So, and we have all felt that way at some point. Right there, that becomes your opportunity for your healing and growth, for your next coaching session, to discover something new about yourself so that you can grow into that space and be there on behalf of your client. In that sense, this school is a fearless opportunity. Now, some of you might be thinking, wait a minute, I really don't want to go that deep. I just want to listen in. By all means, listen in. There is no pressure. This is part 2. Even though it is a fearless space where you are free to explore everything, there is no pressure. We are here to embrace you exactly where you're at. If where you're at is to listen in and to be a part of and to do your personal process and to quietly soak it in, then that's beautiful, and that's how you'll go about it. What joins together both of these two elements, the fearless searching and the quiet holding, is a space of intimacy where, even though our school is surprisingly large at this point, we're committed to a sense of intimacy, so that I, as your teacher, am holding the intention that every one of you is here. Even the ones who are not showing up live, every one of you matters. Your experience matters in the same way as each of us matters to the Almighty as an only child. In a very real sense, every single one of us is an only child and an only student. So please hold that together with me, which can be a tricky thing to do online versus in person. So I'm setting the intention outwards together. Okay. We're learning about coaching, and so we're going to have to explore in this introductory video, what is coaching? A coach's job is to notice, I'm going to read you a beautiful line, the current beneath the dazzling distraction of the river of life. Okay? That means that somebody's going to come to you, or you're going to come to you, a coach yourself. And you as a coach are learning the lens of what is truly going on. And as a redemption coach, your idea of what is truly going on is going to be much broader than a traditional coach. Whereas a traditional coach may be looking at, where is a person sabotaging themselves? Where are they functioning from old beliefs and patterns? As a redemption coach, you're going to be taking in, God willing, a panoramic view of what is really going on. Who is this person? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What does God want from them? Where do they sabotage themselves? What are the other factors playing into their life? Where are they hard on themselves? Where do they need to be harder on themselves? Just this whole kind of panoramic view that you're going to learn. It goes step by step. You're going to learn this in increments, as if you're building a house. So we're going to take the skills that create that lens of a coach, of really seeing what's going on with a person, and we're going to build it one brick at a time in very practical, instructional tools. I will tell you a story of a moment where I did not have coaching tools. Those are the most fun stories for me to tell, actually. So it was a Seder night, and this young girl who was not religious was at our house. She was enjoying the Seder so much. And if you've ever been to a Seder, you know that the later it gets, the better it gets. The singing is better, the intimacy is better. It just gets higher and higher, and finally you're eating, and it's so wonderful. And this girl, she was leaving before the good part. And she said, I've got to go. I have to get up in the morning. I'm a nurse. And I remember the conversation with her by my back door, and I was saying, I don't remember what I was saying, but I was kind of like pressuring her, giving her a little bit of inspiration / guilt, like, don't you want this? Don't you realize how much you're enjoying this? Come and stay. And at that point, I remember with a smile and regret, I was young, that I didn't have the coaching tools to be able to help her sort out what she was experiencing. Maybe it was getting overwhelming for her. Maybe she just needed a little bit of holding and space and concern. Wow, you really have to get up early. That's hard. This must be a very difficult decision for you because you are enjoying this. What do you usually do when you have a late night? Is there anything that I can do for you? What would be best for you now? Do you want to just go? Or even just asking her, I know you have to leave early. What is one very special takeaway that you want to take from this Seder? Instead, what I remember is that it left in this kind of awkward way where she felt like maybe she's letting me down, and I certainly felt let down. And we have this so often in our relationships. We want to truly connect with the other and help them, but we haven't learned these coaching skills, these holding skills of the other's full experience. And so we come in with our agenda, even the nicest agenda. I want you to stay for this Seder and have a good time. Even the nicest agenda coming up against a wall, not truly being helpful. So our goal as coaches is to see what's really going on so we can truly be helpful and help a person find their answers. Okay. There are 4 premises of coaching. I'm going to read them to you. Number 1, people are naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. In coaching, we believe that people have the answers inside of them. Everyone has what we call divine inner wisdom. They have a direct connect to their soul. They have the answers. They may be confused, they may be twisted, but if held as someone who has the answers, if held with respect and honor, they will find their answers. And you can see this a lot with children. The more you say, what do you think you need? The more they come up with these most brilliant answers. If you ask an adult who's all confused about a job, what do you want? Now you have a question that will point them in the direction of what they want instead of all the limitations about, but if I do this, I won't make enough money. And if I do this, right? What do you want? Connecting them to what they really know inside. Creative, resourceful, and whole. So we mentioned the whole part. Let's talk about the resourceful part. Sometimes when we're in a mentorship versus coaching position, or what we call parenting versus coaching, a parent really should be, for the most part, besides for the educational parts, a coach to elicit what's already there in the child, to bring it out, to notice them, to help this little soul that was brought into the world to thrive. Right? Not to tell them what to do, to show them by your behavior how to model good behavior, but then to draw out from them who they truly are. So resourceful means that a person has resources, really incredible resources. They have them. You may never think of them. So one person may be amazing at networking. One person may be amazing at processing and journaling. We want to point people to their own resources. What works for you? What have you done in the past? What are the resources that you can draw on? Hashem, God, gives everybody resources, and a coach directs their attention towards those resources. And that is part of fully seeing a person. So creative, resourceful, and whole. And the final is creative. Everyone who you're talking to has the possibility of truly creating the life that they want. We are co-creators with the one above. And part of being resourceful is being creative, that they're in the very literal sense of creative, being out of the box, thinking of solutions that you wouldn't have thought of, and also creating the life from within themselves. So that is premise number one: creative, resourceful, and whole. Premise number two: the agenda comes from a client. It's very easy to look at someone and say, you know what, I know what they need to fix. If they lost 60 pounds, their life would be a lot better. If they worked on their marriage, their life would be a lot better. That's what they need. That's where the gap is. You may have incredible perception, but when someone comes to you for coaching, you are leaning into their agenda. And obviously you bring in your perception, but you're not like a business consultant who comes in to say, we're going to fix this problem. Rather, you're holding what's important to your client. Okay? These are all very, very different ways of being. As you'll see, our classes are going to be highly practical and experiential. I want you to stay with me now as we talk kind of in abstractions. But think of what it feels like to you, because I know that abstractions can be a little frustrating, like it sounds nice to hear, but how do I apply it? So I'm just going to keep on telling you, stay tuned. We will be heavy on the application, heavy on the practical. For now, we're opening up this space in this introduction. Think of what it's like when you go to someone for advice and they give you advice that is completely unhelpful and irrelevant, versus when you go to someone for advice and they start probing and asking, well, what does this mean to you? How do you feel about this? What are your thoughts about this? What have you tried? What do you think would be best for you? What kind of support do you need? And it's really and truly about your agenda, not through this heavy lens of opinion of the one that you're coming to. So as a coach, we stand in this place of, I honor what is important to you. Okay? Number 3, the coach dances in the moment. Dancing in the moment means that you may think that a conversation is going to go one way, and suddenly it takes a twist. We rarely say, but wait, we were talking about that. When it twists, we dance with the twist. So for example, if somebody you love is talking to you about a situation that is really hard for them, maybe with a friend, right? This friend really hurt them and they're discussing it, and all of a sudden they start crying and they're remembering about when their best friend dumped them in 6th grade, and this reminds them of that. So as a coach, you have in mind that the agenda that this person is suffering in the present day with this friendship that's hurting them. But if they danced right into 6th grade, you're going to 6th grade. And guess what? If over there they discover something wonderful and then they realize, you know what, I was really resilient in 6th grade. I can't believe it. Then you're going there. You're going to that resilience. You're following the lead of the client, and yet still holding in mind that they originally were hurt by this friend. So you're going to come back to that agenda. We will practice all of this. Don't worry. I just want you to know the premise of dancing in the moment. And what that means is completely relaxing and releasing yourself into the conversation and into the experience of the other person. Finally, we have 2 more. Number one, coaching addresses the client's whole life. What does this mean? If you're coming in as a business consultant, you're going to sit down, you're going to say, okay, I'm here. I'm here to help you raise money for your school. Here's how you need to do it. Let's get practical. And everyone makes plans and lists, and it's checklists, and did you do it? Or if you're a weight loss coach, same thing. You know, there are more holistic weight loss coaches, but did you keep to your food plan? Did you weigh and measure? Did you do your exercise? Okay. But I'll tell you a story. I once was training a woman. She came to me for private training in coaching skills because she was a consultant for a company that does fundraisers. She was working with a school, and she would lay out these magnificent plans for the board, and then she would come back a week later and nothing was done. And she'd say, guys, you want to raise this money? Like, what happened? We made a plan, nothing's done. Half the people would just sit there and zone out. Some would play on their phones. They just weren't fully engaged. And even the ones that were engaged, they weren't showing up. And they had hired her. She had this grand vision of what could be. And she's like, I'm so frustrated. I feel like I care about this school more than they do. So we began teaching her coaching skills. And the very same ones that we will teach you. And instead of coming in telling them what to do, she realized that she has to address their whole life. She has to address them as people. So if somebody is tired, even though her nature was to be very on task, she learned to acknowledge their tiredness. She learned to acknowledge the efforts that they did make. She learned to acknowledge first the space that was there. Okay, what's going on in everyone's life? What are you bringing to the table on a Thursday night at 8 o'clock? People aren't in fundraising mode. They're in a whole lot of other modes. They need a little bit of decompressing, a little bit of what we call clearing is one of the tools, just to clear, just to dump it all out. And now we get present for the meeting. So she learned a whole bunch of tools, and things radically improved. And it was so much nicer for her. They felt that she was engaged with them, and she had a team that she could actually work with. So in that case, she was a business consultant. She had to use her coaching skills and then narrow it down on the actual goal. But in our case, we fearlessly expand our vision to the client's whole life, because in the same way as the fascia on the muscles, all of our muscles are connected. And I hope I have this right. I'm not the best with anatomy, but as far as I know, your muscles are connected by the fascia. And that's the outer layer. I really hesitate to say this, but I believe it's correct. So that if one part is tight, it affects the other part of the body. If one part is knotted up, it's all connected. So too in our life, when one part is knotted up, the other part feels it. And it's affected even unconsciously, even when we don't realize it. We are a whole being. So many of us are extraordinary in one space, but really lacking in another. In coaching, we fearlessly look at all of it. Finally, and this is our most important premise of the Redemption School, every experience is a healing opportunity. This we mentioned right off the bat at the beginning. Whatever someone brings to you, know that it's sent to them direct from Hashem in order to bring out their great light, in order to truly heal them. And when we hold this lens for a person, this lens of Emunah, we can be, we have a direction. We have a compassionate yet hopeful and forward-thinking mindset in everything that we hold for a person, because at the end of the day, every single one of us is incredibly magnificent, a piece of God, a soul on a mission, perfectly perfect. So no matter what someone brings to you, you know that there is hope, that this is on purpose, that there is healing that can happen from this, and otherwise it wouldn't be sent to them. Okay. Anything else? We now are going to enter into the concept of the redemption journey. And you will see this written out in your PDF so that it's really, really clear to you. And this redemption journey is something that you're going to chiefly use to notice in your own life the way that you'll use the model of the redemption journey is not overt. It's something that you as a coach are going to know about your clients, about the journey that we're all put here for, okay? Before we go into the redemption journey, I want to kind of close up the beginning intro. I know that there was a lot of information there. Again, please trust me. You're going to experience this in a very hands-on, real way. You're going to see through our demos and through your practice that there's a language that comes along with these principles, and that it is an entirely new way of being. I call it the language of love. And so it's very, very important to me that as beautiful as these concepts are, we learn together in a way that's highly applicable. So I want you to take what I have told you thus far about all these abstract ideas about holding and honoring and being creative and being resourceful, and give yourself a piece of homework. And that homework is simply to notice if you, in your daily conversations from now leading up to the time when we begin our school, how you stand when you're listening to a child, how you stand when you're listening to a friend, how you stand when you're listening to a spouse. Are you standing in the place of, oh, I have to fix it with my sympathy? Or, and can you begin to practice standing in the place of, here is a whole beautiful, magnificent person on a healing journey. I'm going to stand in honor of them, knowing that they are creative, resourceful, and whole, with compassion, with total compassion, and with total honoring that they've got this. This is between them and Hashem, and they've got this. I offer my heart, but I also know they've got this. This is a great gift that you can do for someone. So just practice and notice, okay? That's all you need to do with all that. The second piece of homework for the part one of the intro is to write down any fears that you have coming into school. And as I've noticed, we're a divided group. Some of us are wildly excited. You've waited like forever for this opportunity. You're ready to go. Some of us are filled with anxiety. Oh my gosh, what is this going to be? And write down those fears. And I'll tell you a little beautiful homework that you can do if you choose to. This is a great exercise from Martha Beck. So the reason that I want you to write down your fears is A, to clarify them. B, I want you to have the opportunity to look back at them at the end of class and to say, wow, you know what? It was okay, because it will be okay. But here's a little exercise you might want to do. It goes like this. Write down your fear. I'm scared I won't have anything to say. I'm scared I will feel exposed. I'm scared I won't understand it. I'm scared I don't have time for this. Whatever your fears are. And you're going to make 2 columns. So you're going to write down the fear and then write down the dream is coming true. And after you write down the dream is coming true, write down the next fear that comes up and then write down the dream is coming true and the next fear. Whatever comes to your mind after you write down the dream is coming true, write that. The dream is coming true. Write the next fear. Keep dialoguing until you find a piece of inner wisdom that comes out. Okay? Fear, the dream is coming true. Fear, the thought. So all your thoughts are streaming, followed by the dream is coming through, and then I believe that towards the end, your inner wisdom will, it's going to be beautiful. You're going to get a golden nugget.